In my first 2 years of lifting, I did 312 leg days and my quads did not grow at all. Now, one of the main reasons I started going to the gym in the first place was to grow my legs, because I was around 15, my legs were super skinny and they made me stand out so bad because, number one, I've always had, I'm not sure if you can see this, really hairy legs, right? So they stood out because they were hairy, but secondly, they stood out because they were so fucking skinny, so damn skinny. Skinnier than any other boy in my year, because I was at school at the time, skinnier than anybody else that I'd seen, and also a lot skinnier than my upper body. So it made me look like I had pencil legs. Now, people used to tell me during this time, they were like, oh, you need to train legs more, because it was obvious, like from my upper body, I went to the gym, right? They were like, oh yeah, he goes to the gym. And then they'd look at my legs and go, you need to train legs more, mate. And I was like, I'm training legs 3 times a fucking week. What else do you want me to do? I was desperate to grow them. I hated them. Like, I used to play rugby for North Wales, and the guys that I used to play rugby with would look at my legs and say, I could literally snap those in a tackle. And they were right, because they were just frail, they were skinny. I fucking hated them. I hated them. I hated how they looked in jeans. I hated how they looked. I avoided wearing shorts because I hated how skinny they were. And I literally dreamt about seeing my quads get bigger, seeing veins in my quads, seeing my calves get bigger, still hasn't happened, seeing my hammies get bigger, and like being so happy actually seeing that muscle mass going onto my legs, because I just didn't think it was possible. So I was so desperate to grow them that I literally trained legs 3 times a week. I was training upper lower, upper lower, upper lower, doing that split, 6 days a week, every single week, training legs 3 days a week. I was squatting twice a week. I was hip hinging twice a week. I was doing hamstring curls, I was doing leg extensions. I had all of the motivation and discipline on the fucking planet. I did not fucking give up because I was desperate to grow them. But after 2 years, all that happened was they looked a little bit more defined. I had much worse knee pain and they look just as skinny as when I started. So that was in the first 2 years of my lifting, okay? My first 2 years of lifting, I was fucking useless. My quads didn't grow at all. I had no clue what I was doing. In the 4 years that followed that, I have finally figured stuff out. I now know exactly where I was going wrong, the mistakes that I was making, and when I look back at my training then, it's so obvious what I needed to change, but at the time I just couldn't see it. And last year, when I did my first ever really long cutting phase, I revealed how much I'd actually been able to grow my quads over the last 4 years. I got veins showing all over them. I competed as a bodybuilder, and I cannot tell you how happy I was with the way that my quads were looking. They looked fucking sick. And I'd actually been able to grow them into like a decent body part instead of them just being like ultimately weak. So, and my most productive year for growing my legs has actually been since this cutting phase until now. So in the last 12 months, I've literally added over 10 centimeters to my quads. Look at the comparison. It's crazy. And by the way, if you want the exact training program that I've followed to make this transformation on my legs over the last year, that comes along with a video explaining exactly why it works and the mistakes that I was making beforehand, then hit the top link in the bio, because if you fill that form out, I will send you the training program literally straight over to your email for free. But to give you the rundown as to the main mistake I was making back then, it was that I was switching exercises up way too fucking often. I'd constantly be on this hamster wheel of looking for that exercise that's finally going to blow my legs up. What I needed to realize is that all of the exercises could have blown my legs up if I would have fucking stuck to them for long enough and progressively overloaded them, not switched them out, and got my technique better on them. And gone harder with them as well. But by constantly switching my exercise up, I was ruining any potential momentum that I could have built using that exercise, because as soon as I'd start progressing it and start getting stronger and start causing more stimulus for my quads, I'd swap it out for a different exercise and the momentum would just completely die, ruining any gains that I'd made so far. Because what I didn't know back then is that your muscles only grow when you're giving them a progressive stimulus. Like if you're going in the gym on leg extensions and doing the same weight for the same 3 sets of 10 every single week, for the first week or so, your quads will grow because it's like, oh my God, this is new. Second week, they'll grow a little bit less. The week after, they won't grow at all. Your muscles need a progressive stimulus. So in other words, you need to make things a little bit harder every single time you go to the gym, because your muscles are pesky motherfuckers. They're stubborn. They don't want to grow. You have to force them to grow by making it harder for them, using the same exercises with the same technique and going even harder week on week. That is the kind of stimulus you need to provide to them to actually cause growth. But when you're swapping exercises out, you can't cause this kind of stimulus because the movement itself is changing. The stimulus is completely different. The form is completely different. The way that your muscle is getting stretched is completely different. And the likelihood is you're probably not causing as much stimulus. You're not causing as much growth by swapping exercises. So you have to stick to the same exercise for as long as you can and progress the shit out of it and treat it like a game. And that is what I wasn't doing when I started for the first 2 years, and it got me nowhere. You don't need to trial this. You don't need to experiment with it yourself, because literally I am the proof. If you carry on switching your exercises every 6 weeks, every time you get bored, this is what will happen to your quads in the next 2 years. Don't fucking do that. Don't fucking do that. Be disciplined. Stick to the program that I've literally just sent you in the bio of this video. Rinse it for the next year and a half, for as long as you can, getting stronger, progressively overloading, making your form better, making it harder by pausing at the bottom, and literally rinsing it for everything it's worth. I promise you, you will make gains so much quicker. And by the way, this is episode number 1 of bulking advice from my ironing board, because I'm currently in the laundry cupboard of our new apartment, and I'm going to be dropping the firest bulking tips you've ever heard of from here. So if you want more videos like this, teaching you exactly how to bulk properly and avoiding all of the stupid mistakes I made, then hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next vid.